you guys on your end to make sure everything's good.
Okay.
All right, everybody. So we are back another week, another Saturday. Appreciate everybody coming to hang out. We just want to do some quick tests here. So panel, you guys seeing everything is okay? I just want to make sure we look good here.
We are
Um,
live.
we're live. Okay, just wanted
Yep.
to make sure we're good. Chat, let us know if you guys can hear me. OBS updated prior to the show starting, so just hit us up. Let us know if you guys can hear all of us on the panel. I don't want there to be any technical difficulties going forward. So let me just
I
pull up
can
this.
hear you in the podcast.
You can't hear me.
Yep. I have the podcast up.
Yeah, he's live. I can hear the podcast.
Can you hear me though?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, that's all I care about. Is you guys being able to hear me. All right, Chad. So sorry about the technical difficulties once again. We're still going through this growth here, these changes as far as YouTube, but we are back another Saturday, another show. Just thank you guys for coming out, watching. You guys add so much to this show every single Saturday. We appreciate you guys. And this week we actually got a special first time guest who is actually on the show. So we're gonna just go ahead and start with him first. But hit that like button on your way in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 1,200 subscribers. Appreciate you guys showing up, showing out every single weekend. You guys get things started, get things live. So let's go ahead and just go around the panel here. We'll start with our very, very first time guest. Now, this gentleman, I was on he's part of the podcast I was on last Monday, I believe, or this past
Yep.
Monday, I believe. Stream Table, go check those guys out. They do a lot of great work. Shout out to the Iron Lords. They're all kind of a conglomerate there. So they do a lot of cool things. One of my favorite podcasts to watch. So shout out to everybody there in the realm of the Iron Lords. But we got MJ here. First time guest on the show. Awesome guy. Actually, Stag knows him as well. Some E3 connection going on there. But go ahead and give yourself a shot at MJ. What you got going on and let everybody know where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter at BadyMJ. I do a podcast every Monday at 9, the Roundtable with the Stream Team. And I stream on Twitch from occasion. MJ is a boss. And yeah.
All right. Well, let's get it in, man. Appreciate you taking some time out, man. Being a first time guest on the show, man. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing your Saturday with us and the viewers that are going to be watching live. So once again, viewers, click the link, retweet the link. It's already out there on Twitter. If you're not following all of us here, go follow us on Twitter. We all use that traditionally as a hub. For our YouTubes, for every other thing that we have going on, whether it be live streaming, different things that we have going on. So go hit us up there. But let's go ahead and keep going around the panel. We're going to start with Mr. Stagger Lee as well. Mr. Consistent, I would say Mixer, but we're going to be making a jump here back to Twitch pretty soon. But I'll let you explain that. Let everybody know what's going on with you, Stag.
Not much. Just hanging out with you guys Saturdays, and I did recently make the switch to Twitch. You can find me on there under Staggerilla. I've been stuck on Children of Morta all week long, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Playing the indies and talking about games. That's what it's all about.
Let's get it, man. Stag adds so much to the show, man. Go follow him. Now I'm sure he'll get into the details later, but follow him on Twitch, Mixer as well. You'll get content both ways, but he'll get into the details a little bit later about that. Thanks for coming on again, Stag, every single week, man. Huge part of the show. Thank you so much. Centurion, the newest actual member of the panel, man. Give yourself a shout out. Let everybody know where they can find you. I know you like a chicken with your head cut off. You running around to 3-4 different podcasts a week. So, fill the people in on what you got going on.
What's going on, everybody? And yeah, I am all over the place. I am like the town bicycle on YouTube. Everybody gets a turn on having me on their podcast. Obviously, I am here with you guys this Saturday, but I'm also doing TXR on Sundays and the Saltiest Gaming Podcast on Thursdays. And this week, I am actually going to be on Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick XL. He hit me up yesterday, and I'm totally excited for that one because I've been wanting to actually be on one of his podcasts for a while.
Nice. Shout out to Boom. Boom is an amazing guy, man. I've been on that podcast, Breakfast with Boom. Amazing guy. His channel is growing insanely fast. Great content. So go check out Boom as well, man. Super, super cool dude. Got a lot going on over there as well. So last but not least, the Barry White of gaming, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere himself, fresh off a nap, everybody. He takes a nap prior to each show. Fresh off a nap in Forza. Let everybody know what's going on with you, Fuzz.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Fuzzy Belvedere here. You can usually find me on Twitter
I've been playing a lot of Forza lately. Been playing with the kids. They finally got back into Forza, so been having fun doing that. And yeah, have to rest up when you get up there in age. Yeah, take midday naps. No, but yeah, glad to be here. Looking forward to talking some games and some topics today, guys.
Let's get it. Let's get it, everybody. You know how we do. You know how we do. We have a lot of fun. Once again, if you're filing in, hit that like button on your way in. Say hello in the chat as you file in as well, man. The chat is always lit here, man. Everybody's super interactive, so super engaging. So we enjoy everybody that's here watching live. You watching, whatever form you may be watching it on. So let's just go ahead and dive in, man. We got a lot of cool things to talk about this week. So as you know, as traditional, we start with the poll or the topic of the week. So every single Monday, if you're not following me on Twitter, go follow me there on Twitter, PTK Blam. And I do a poll of the week, and we talk about it here on the show on Saturday. So this week's poll of the week was actually a really fun one. Shout out to everybody who voted. So the poll of the week this week was which genre next gen will be the one to make the next jump or the big jump forward next gen essentially. So we got a couple different options. We got indies, we got platform, we got RPG and MMO. Now, honestly, not surprisingly, the RPG had about almost 60% of the vote that was going to be the next genre to make that big jump forward next generation. So we had everybody else was kind of even. Indies, platformers, MMOs are right around 12 to 15%. So not only is this question for the panel, but it is for you guys as well in the chat. Let us know out of those options which one and why would you guys would pick. So we're gonna start with our guest of the hour, our first time guest, MJ. So out of those options, which one would you pick and why?
For me, I'd probably pick RPG because my favorite type of genre. Been playing those a lot throughout once I've been growing up, and yeah.
Okay, so just RPG, no additional information like maybe. Well, I mean, if that's your choice, then that's fine as well. But I agree, RPG was something that I picked initially when I put together the poll. So the funny thing about RPG is that we're saying this, and Cyberpunk hasn't come out yet. So it's not a traditional
That's current
RPG.
gen,
It's not.
though.
It's not next gen, but I mean, that's going to show us where that genre is going because it can essentially be a genre defining kind of title depending on how big it is and the way everybody's looking at it going forward. So I agree, RPG MJ is what I picked when I put together the poll as well. There hasn't been a ton of. I mean, this is me just talking in a vacuum here. I don't play a ton
Yeah.
of RPGs, but we haven't had one that really stuck out. We got a lot of hybrid games. We got a lot
Yeah.
of games like Assassin's Creed that have RPG elements,
Mm-hmm.
Destiny, Anthem, things like that that have RPG elements. They're not true RPGs. So that's another reason why I chose RPGs going
Yeah.
forward because I think it probably has the most potential out of those four choices to get to that next level. So let's go ahead and move on to you, Stag. I know you voted on the poll 2 weeks in a fucking row. That's amazing.
The
Appreciate the
record.
consistency there. But what out of those four options, which one did you choose and why?
I mean, they're all good options, and I think they're all. I mean, I think all the different genres are going to get a boost with the no load times and the update in graphics and the processors and the SSDs. But you'd think I would go with indies. I honestly feel indies will get more exposure. They're getting more exposure, but I as well voted RPG just on the simple fact of the hugeness of what they're going to be able to do with the worlds, the no loading times, and just being able to build bigger worlds that you're just be able to wander around and do shit and find NPCs and quests and all that stuff to do things with. It really seems like Microsoft, especially, and I mean, we know Sony has the JRPGs on lockdown and stuff, and so Microsoft's really making a push towards getting more RPGs on the market and next gen. So it just seems like that's a big focus.
Yeah. No, so and now I saw a tweet recently about Playground. It's almost like it seems to be confirmed that they're doing some kind of RPG. Is it pretty? Because I mean, everything I see as far as like a job posting or somebody mentioning something, it's about an RPG. So I assume Playground's doing something as far as an RPG. Could we all agree that that's going to be their next game? Because that's the job postings even that I've seen. Just some of their like tweets I've seen seems like it's going to be an RPG.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like a couple of the companies that they've acquired, if not three, are going to drop an RPG on us.
Which three you think?
I don't really know, but
Okay.
I mean, Playground obviously, but like, I just feel like there is a movement within Microsoft Xbox to push that more to that. I mean, it feels like something that has been lacking on the platform. So I feel like they are making an effort to get more of it.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense as well. Because I mean, traditionally, Xbox gamers they don't RPGs don't do very well on Xbox. As
But
far
it's a
as sales,
market they want
things
to
like that. But
attract.
it
If they
definitely
want to
is.
like
Yeah.
bridge that gap on, I mean, I know hardware sales isn't where they make money, but
Yeah.
a lot of people look at those numbers and say, well, you only sold this amount of systems, we sold this amount of systems, they sold that amount, and of course you're going to get that. If a big part of your install base loves JRPGs or RPGs, they're going to automatically flock to that system. But if you're offering more that might not be on a competitor's system, it might bring you over to grab one and play 2 or 3 really good RPGs.
Okay. Cool. Nothing wrong with that. So I agree. Once again, that was my choice as well going forward. There were some other interesting options, platformers, indies as well. All- I, indies for me would have been a close second, but I understand the RPG aspect. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Out of those choices, I know you said pregame you voted on the poll this week. So which one of those did you pick and why?
I chose RPG.
Okay, that's 3 for 3.
Right now, I was hoping Stagger wouldn't totally steal everything. The reason why,
I don't even have notes.
he doesn't know. So obviously, RPGs are like my bag, my house, whatever you want to call it. I love RPGs. I was a huge fan of Mass Effect. I put almost 200 hours into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I completely love RPGs. Um, Now, that being said, that wasn't the real reason why I picked it.
Mm-hmm.
You asked for 3 companies. Well, 3 companies are going to be the Initiative, Playground Games, and Obsidian. All three, for starters, Playground Games has already wanted to do an RPG and they're hiring for it. Obsidian is the creators of RPGs, some of the best we've ever seen. Fallout, and now we got Outer Worlds coming out. And we all know the Initiative are cooking up something great, and Microsoft has definitely heard all the fans beating that drum that they want an RPG on the ecosystem
You
that's going
sure
to
the
bring in
initiative?
fans.
I'm thinking something like a first-person, like action
I think
adventure
it's going to be a
kind of
hybrid.
game. I think it's
It's
gonna.
going to probably be a hybrid or
Yeah.
something, but I'm going to tell you right now, if they come out with just a generic game, that could potentially, just again help fuel the flames of
To
this is
hurt the
what you get.
brand, hurt the studio. Yeah.
Exactly. The Initiative cannot come out with a generic cookie cutter game
Well, no,
that
I'm
has
not saying
helped
it'll
the
be.
yeah.
I'm not saying that. I mean, look at the talent. I have extremely high standards for the initiative, but I don't know. I mean, they throw the four quadruple A title out there. I mean, it could be a RPG. I don't have any issues if it is. I'm just saying that like I don't know. I don't know if that's the first one out the gate for the initiative or RPG. I don't know.
Well, they can see how well CD Projekt Red has done with doing expansive open world games and RPG hybrid games. They have to be taking notice of that. And also, they have access to the company. I forget who's doing Wasteland, but they're also doing. They also have access to Obsidian. They know that RPG is something that the console is lacking. The whole brand is lacking, so I'm pretty sure that is something that had to come up in the boardroom when they were all brainstorming on what should be our first game out the gate. And I don't think that, as much as people want that game, they're like, oh, we want, third person over the shoulder, pushing boxes around, story driven, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they're wanting to create something that is going to be more of a world than that, if that makes any sense.
Okay. All right. Nothing wrong with that. Once again, this is all speculation, people. But there's some good. Obviously, when it comes to Interion, you're always gonna have some fact-based information there, so we definitely want to pay attention to that. But yeah, I mean, initiative. I don't know. I mean, that's something that's a RPG out the gate. It could be. It could be. So I mean, the assumption is because of the talent that they're getting and from some of the studios that these people have come from. A lot of people are already just saying we're gonna get some like some Sony first-person style game. You know what I'm saying? Like some Sony first-party style game, like a God of War ish. Maybe not like the
if I
that type
can
of game, but like a narrative, story driven
if I
kind of
can
Sony
add
first
something
party.
on to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, we all know how Phil Spencer and other executives have all said that the Xbox Scarlet is going to be the most immersive console. I know people have been kind of upset that they're not saying the words most powerful, but they have definitely been using the word immersive. And like Stagger said, no loading times. They're wanting to create more detailed worlds. We all know that the upper echelon of the Microsoft studios are always the ones that take advantage of that technology.
Okay. All right, no, there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, you're right. We don't know what's going to happen coming up here. There's a lot of different ways they can go. There's a lot of different ways they can go. And with the type of talent that we've seen them gather over the last few months, it just gets me excited about what the possibilities are. One of them could be an RPG, so we'll definitely have to wait and see. So, last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. So, out of those options, I know you voted. I know you mentioned it here as well. I know you voted on the poll. So, out of those options, which one did you choose and why?
Drum roll, please. As if it's no surprise.
Racing game.
I went with I went with
Ah,
RPG as well, but it was a little bit of a tough one for me, and I'll go into why I pick RPG as the reason why or what I voted for. Mainly because the new hardware is going to be able to handle more AI on screen, larger worlds like both Stagger and Centurion touched on. The worlds are going to be bigger. The AI are going to be smarter. The gear and systems in those worlds are going to be more, I won't say necessarily more advanced, but more involved or more detailed. So the hardware will definitely lean more towards RPGs just because now the creative aspect of those devs can go, hog wild. But when it comes to my close second, and this is going to probably sound like a weird one, I was also thinking platformers are probably going to make a comeback depending on how well xCloud does. And if remote play on the PlayStation side does well as well, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot more platformers because it's going to be something that'll be more acceptable instead of having to do like couch co-op type of stuff
mhm.
at home. You can start the game at home, take it on the way to work, or play it at lunch at work, or go to family visit for the holidays and things like that. Bring your phone with you, or you always have your phone with you. I could definitely see platformers being like that nostalgic time passing type of activity, especially if xCloud takes off as well as I think it will.
Okay, so a clean sweep for RPGs, everybody. So once again, that definitely reflected in the poll. Once again, so we'll be having another poll next week. Once again, if you're not following me on Twitter, please follow me on Twitter. That way you'll be able to get that poll of the week every single Monday, start of the week essentially. So let's go ahead and keep this thing moving, man. So we got some people in here, man. Shout out to 1080. Shout out to Cyber. Shout out to She Snow. Everybody else, if I missed you, shout out to everybody watching live that may not be in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button and you win. So let's go ahead and keep this thing moving, man. Great show so far. So next topic. Now, this is something actually I came across on Twitter. A lot of these topics, I'm just kind of scrolling through Twitter and I'll see something interesting. Maybe somebody makes a statement or poses a question. And I kind of take it and use it, put it in my own way. So this one was actually kind of cool. I actually almost commented on this, but I kind of bagged back, like, let me leave this alone and save it for the podcast. So should Xbox start announcing games closer to their release date? Now, I want to, before we dive into this, we can talk about this probably for the rest of the show. But before we dive into this, and by the way, there's parentheses here, the Xbox Game Studio games only. So first party games only. We're not talking just their full second, third party, things like that. But so the interesting thing about this is that my point of view is I think a lot of people feel this way now based on what we've seen so far, based on the data we've seen in the last 5 years. It's easy to say that now because we've seen the direction that the generation has gone. So I pose a question to kind of oppose that. If Xbox hadn't got off to a start, the type of start that it did, would that even be a thing? Would we even be worried about when they're announcing these games? Because I mean, there's a lot of that's just one factor that's contributed to the way this generation is gone. We always say, well, don't announce games too early, and I understand that. But the game comes out, we announce it. It may be, we want to make sure the game works when it does get announced. So there's a balance there. A lot of these games, I mean, they may not even have the time. They may not have the time that they may not be able to wait till 6 months out, or 5 months before the game ships, or 5 months before the game drops. Like, there's certain games that are afforded that luxury. Certain studios can do that. But let's go ahead and just dive in here. Let me start with you, MJ. On what do you think about that? So, Xbox first party games, do you think that they should announce them closer to their actual release date, or how you feeling about that?
So how I feel about that, I don't know. I like how once they're spaced out, like the big games are announced at E3. It just like builds anticipation. Like actually being at the theater, the experience is different than watching it on like a screen.
Mm-hmm.
So like games like Halo, seeing that they're announcing it, but it's coming out and what they announced it 2 years ago.
I think it was 2. Was it 2? I think it was 2. Yeah.
Well, once they announced Halo, everybody's super, super excited. But that 2-year wait, I don't know. I mean, if they would have announced it this E3 instead of the E3 before, I think it would have been like the hype would have been insane because it'd be 2020 when it's coming out holiday. So I mean, I don't know, like maybe within a year, not 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. See, that's so Halo's. I think you can announce Halo anytime. Doesn't matter.
10 years out.
So Halo's, you can announce Halo 5 years in advance. It doesn't matter. Same thing with like a Uncharted, God of War. They could announce Last of Us 5 years ago, and it would have been fine. So all I'm saying is that there's certain games.
Did.
Yeah, they almost shut up. Anyway, so you're right, but no, seriously, there are certain games that they're afforded the luxury of doing that. So I don't think every game works that way. Certain games like a Gears, like a Halo, like a Forza, you can announce 2-3 years in advance. These are big games. These games take a long time to develop, and things change throughout the development cycle. So I understand people wanting to. So say for instance, right, we do wait. Say for instance, they waited and did announce Halo this year.
Yeah.
Well, you got to understand, but prior to them announcing Halo this year, a lot of people had questions stemming from last year about Halo. Are you going to be able to answer those questions in a year rather than 2 years?
Nope.
That's what I'm saying. Are you going to be able to? Are you going to be able to properly answer those questions, even if you do make changes based on the feedback? Is a year long enough? So that's what I'm saying. There's a fine line because you're asking them to really cut down on the time. Like, if we need to go in there and make some adjustments based on the direct feedback we get from announcing this, we don't have a lot of time to do so. This is a big game. This is a $150, $200 million game. So there's definitely a balance there. I do agree with you, though. There are some games that would greatly benefit that. I think Halo is an outlier, obviously. But some of the other games, maybe the Initiative's first game, and I don't know when they're going to announce that. We may not see that for the next 3 or 4 years. Who knows? But I think it's definitely a balance there, MJ. So would you agree with that at the very least? Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. Man, what's your opinion, man? What do you think about that? So sooner, later, does it matter?
I don't have a lot to say here, but I do have a couple quick points. My first one is why? Why do they have to wait? I don't think they do. Why? I'm going to answer that with Death Stranding was announced. Sorry, I'm looking it up. At E3 2016. I had it pulled up and I just lost it for a sec. And then The Last of Us Part 2 was announced December 2016. It's not coming out till February 21st of 2020. That's over 4-year cycle since they announced the game. So why is it okay for Sony to say announce a game 4 years ago? But Xbox has got to be held to a standard of like, whoa, don't announce stuff too soon. I don't get it. Like long lead times, yeah, they kind of suck, but at the same time, they build anticipation. You can release stuff over time, and I mean, I get some people get upset that they see something 2 years ago that was released and now all of a sudden that's not in the game and you're pissed off. But I mean, like you were alluding to a minute ago, development cycles are long, things change, they adjust to what does and doesn't work. But I don't understand why Xbox needs to announce games closer to their release date when another platform can spend 4 years in a development cycle from when they announced a game. That's pretty much all I got on that.
That is a fair point because that was so the question, the reference I got this from was directly. That was pretty much what I asked. Like it was
Yeah.
just referencing the Xbox games. It didn't reference. You're right. What works for one company doesn't necessarily equate to success
I
for
mean, it
another.
seems to always just be that, like, oh, well, it's okay if they do it. No, but fuck Xbox,
Well,
like,
yeah, no, I
not
get it.
not not from your point of view, but it
Yeah.
just seems like when we do pull this kind of stuff, it's that very loud vocal minority of clickbaiters that are like, Xbox screwed up again, and it's almost like we're responding to that sometimes, and I just don't understand why the other company, and even Nintendo announces games like this too, is held to a standard of like, it's okay, but oh shit, you guys did this. God, I want Biomutant. Why'd you have to throw that out there, Sansu? God. But
Sidetrack
yeah,
right
that's where I'm at. I don't understand why it's okay for them to do it and not another company which makes games as
there.
well.
I don't know.
It
I
just
mean,
it blows my fucking mind.
that's an underlying question. That no,
Yeah.
so that's definitely
I
that's
think it's
something you
okay to
so
announce the game when you start working on it. Granted, like what Scalebound was announced and it got canceled. That
yeah.
shit's gonna happen. People need to get over themselves and just like be like, shit changes. I mean, other corporations and other industries, I know I've said this kind of stuff before, but they've announced like, hey, we're gonna innovate here, we're gonna do this, and then that shit just doesn't happen. Like you can't do everything you promise all the time.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're right. I mean that's kind of where I was coming from. That's why I didn't respond directly to the question on Twitter because I wanted to think about it a little bit. And my thought process was very similar to yours. I'm like, what works for one company? Because I assume that question came from somebody, seeing what was going on at Sony because that's the only other comparison you can make.
True.
Is what was going on with Sony and what they do with their first party studios. And we know, once again, Last of Us, not to get off topic here, Last of Us, their games have been showed years in advance and nobody bats an eye essentially. So I don't think it's a matter of Xbox needing to do that. If they feel the need to do that for particular titles, that's understandable. But these AAA first party, these tentpole games, whatever the initiative's cooking up, Forza, Halo, Gears, whatever Playground's doing next, these games will come out and be announced. I feel like when they need to. This company has a good grasp on what its fan base want, what it needs.
Yeah.
For the 10 people that I'm sorry that you guys aren't getting as much information that you want, but you guys got to come on now because if the game comes out broken, then we have another problem.
That's another thing I
That's
hate.
a whole
Is
nother discussion. So
yeah, I
exactly.
hate deadlines too. So, I
Exactly.
mean,
So we got to be fair here on both sides of the board. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. I know this is something that we've talked about throughout this entire generation. So what's your opinion on that as well? About Xbox essentially needing to announce their game sooner to the actual release date.
I wish they would take a slightly different approach. Like, they don't necessarily have to go into full detail on everything in the game. Like, there's a way they could kind of show things like some other developers have shown stuff in the past, and then the fans of that particular series are going to know right off the bat what it is. So they can do technical tests. Hey, we have upcoming hardware coming out, and this is some of the stuff that we're working on for that upcoming hardware. They don't have to say it's Halo. They could just show a battle or show what they're trying to work on. Now that could backfire on them, much like the whole cloud thing with Crackdown 3. But just show like a tech test. Don't call the name of the game. Just show a tech test. The people will recognize the characters almost instantaneously that are paying attention. The other thing they can do is start showing advertisements or like movie posters. Like, if you don't want to show any of the gameplay 2 years out, show a poster. Do like Nintendo. Show the title. What did they say? Metro, and it was supposed to be out this year, and it's not going to be another year or two. But at least do some of that stuff. Don't necessarily go into the detail of the game because, like you said, development cycles change. Things might get cut or might not make the cut type of deal. So people will be upset. Oh, that mode's not in there. Or that particular vantage point didn't work out, and why is it not in the game? And I want my money back, type of thing. But they don't necessarily have to go into detail on the game. Just show something to at least spark the interest. Like,
Got it.
and it's not to give all the credit to the other guys, but it just seems like they kind of know how to play with gamers' emotions. It's like you either show like a character that was in the previous game that might not be in the next game, and then make them seem like they might be a ghost. And it's like, well, hey, what does all this mean? And they'll be, everybody that's anticipating that game is going to be waiting for the next E3 or the next announcement,
Mhm.
and you could just do little drips and drabs of stuff. It doesn't have to be, a whole scene. Just
Mhm.
stuff like that. That's all they need to. I won't say that's what they need to do,
Yeah.
but that's what they probably should do, because the fans that are already playing the games are going to probably buy them regardless.
Mhm.
But if you want to bring in a whole new, fresh blood of customers or gamers, start doing that type of, uh, not really guerrilla marketing, but it's like the viral marketing and things that just like cliffhanger stuff. Like
Okay.
nobody knew what Death Stranding was. They just saw a baby in a
Do
bottle
they?
and tanks and
They now?
things. Yeah, I mean they still don't. But it was one of those things that it got enough of that fan base excited or enthused about something, even though they didn't have a clue what it was or what it
They
would
just
be.
wanted to.
So just they need to mix things up, or should at least try mixing things up and see if they can at least build the hype train, maybe an extra year out
Mhm.
compared to what they're doing now. That's all.
Okay, so you're essentially saying maybe just change the approach. Maybe not, announce things sooner. Because, like I said before, I understand your point of view, Fuzz. You make a lot of great points. It's just that my only caveat to all of that is that we are making direct comparisons with what works for these two other companies, and I don't think that's
Right.
fair. So
True.
that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? In the
Yeah,
grand
but that
scheme
was
of
the
things.
standard that was laid out in front of
It
us
no,
when this
you
question was
no,
posed on the
absolutely,
internet.
no,
So,
absolutely true. No, you're absolutely true. I mean, that's the only comparison we can make is with Nintendo and Sony. But what I'm saying is, in the grand scheme of things, the only reason I think people are saying it because we've seen the direction this generation has gone with the
Yeah.
way things have gone down. If Sony, if so, say for instance, these two companies were neck and neck like they were during the last generation, as far as sales and these things, would we have such a pressing need to make these kind of arguments? Like,
No.
I don't feel like the need would be there. I think the need's there because we see those numbers and say, well, they need to do this to catch up. And I think that's where it comes in. And I don't think Xbox looks at it like that. They don't look at it like that. They can make some changes. I like your idea, Fuzz. Maybe switch up the approach, do some Nintendo like things, maybe throw some hooks and things out there, a little bait, and all that kind of different stuff. That's all cool. I'm not opposed to that at all. But to say that they need to absolutely move these games closer and talk about them sooner, closer to their release date. I mean we're trying to pigeonhole these different types of games that have different markets that it's a lot of variables here. That's all
Oh
essentially what
yeah.
I'm saying. So I agree though. I like the fact that you threw out there that they should try a different approach to different games and try and just generate interest in different ways because I think that they can do that and they probably should. You're right. So let's go ahead and keep this thing going. Centurion, last but not least on the topic, brother, what do you think about the topic as far as them talking about games or announcing them closer to their release date?
Man, I don't know how to truly feel about this because, yeah, I would like for them to be like, let's use Fable, for example, or whatever that they're cooking up. The worst, best kept secret in gaming right now is Fable 4. I've heard so many people saying that they're out there hiring for this game and all this other stuff. I think they do need to kind of clear a little bit of that up. But at the same time, I can see why they are resistant a little bit from wanting to release stuff too early. Like, look at what happened with Crackdown 3. Everybody wants to be like, oh, it's just another game that Microsoft put out. It's just a crap game that they produced. Really, imagine building a game for years and all of a sudden that company just sells to another company. Like what happened with Crackdown, Microsoft could have took that company to court and completely sued them till the doors went shut. And so, but instead of doing that, they just basically started over and rebuilt everything that they had in a fairly good, decent amount of time. Do they need to be like their competition? I want them to do their own thing, honestly.
Yep.
It just kind of makes me aggravated when, Stagger's right. Some of these games on the other side have had 4 years of hype, and not only that, but every E3 it's the same trailer.
You gotta go to E3 to have a trailer.
Yeah, if Microsoft decided to get up on stage and show the same games year after year, the crowd would eat them alive. Meanwhile, over on the other side, they can't get enough of it. There must be some subliminal stuff in the background. I don't know, but what works for one company should be able to work for another, but I don't understand why it doesn't. Let's use the example of God. Remember when Microsoft had this device that you could talk to your Xbox and turn it on and do all this other stuff, and next thing you know, Microsoft is spying in your home. And all while these people are screaming that Microsoft is invading their privacy, they're asking their Alexa or their Google Assistant to order more Tide Pods.
Those are tasty.
Yeah, right. But still, it's just, that's where it does get aggravating because, I remember when Microsoft came out, I was like, now you can hook your Alexa device up to the Xbox and turn it off and on. And people are like, oh, great, another reason to have an Alexa. And it's like, Microsoft did this on their own. They didn't need an Alexa. Why is it okay for one company to do it and not another? That it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I understand. In the chat, got some cool things. Let me do some quick shout outs as well. Salty, Cyber, Wilmy just popped in here. Everybody, I think Michael Doonan Jr., She already said hi to you. Just everybody that's watching live, appreciate you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. But yes, Centurion, it's a very, very delicate conversation. It can go either way. Both sides make great arguments. I'm not going to sit up here and lie. Because some games have worked. There's very few games that have come out this generation that have been able to announce like 3, 4, 5, 6 months early and still have that big impact. Generally, those games are a lot larger. I think it was the Fallout 4 was able to do it. They announced that bitch at E3 and it came out in like September. So there was a couple other games throughout the generation that were able to do it too. But those games that are able to are generally a lot larger games. These are games that people are going to buy any goddamn way. So it's not for every single game to be able to do that. So I agree with the panel here as well. But once again, both sides make compelling arguments. So let's go ahead and keep this thing going, man. Appreciate everybody watching. Go ahead.
Quick. I was just wanting to point out that Salty and Wilmy Hood are making fun of me in the chat because on Saltiest Gaming, I accidentally called the Kinect a kinetic about 2 or 3 times.
It's fucking kinetic. Kineticamals.
Too much. Shout out to Salty, man. That's my guy, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Salty.
Tasty salt.
I know, man. Let's go ahead and keep this thing moving, man. So next topic of the show, man. This is actually an interesting one. I didn't even know I was going to throw this in. I'm like, is anybody going to be interested to talk about this? Definitely some PC shit more so. But I want to talk a little bit about Riot Games. So if you guys don't know who they are, they make League of Legends, okay? But recently they came out and said, we're doing some different shit here. We got our hands in a lot of cookie jars. Very interesting. So they're making a few different games. The two I'm most interested in, or just interested in seeing how they're going to come out, is going to be Project A, which is a fighting game, and I think it's Project L, which is a tactical shooter. Tactical shooter. They're not calling it like a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter. It's a tactical shooter. So maybe like CS:GO style, essentially. So I wanted to get you guys' opinions because it is relevant. I mean, I assume that means these games are going to be available on consoles. I didn't really dive in. Hopefully these games are available on consoles because I think that those two types of games work on consoles. So we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to get you guys' opinions. Now, MJ, I don't know if you play on PC at all, brother. But I wanted to get your opinion on what do you think? Did you see the trailer for those games? Did you get to see any information about what they were doing?
I have not seen any information.
It's going to be hard to have this conversation then. Okay, so I mean, you know what League of Legends is, right? You're aware.
I know of it, but I've never played it.
Okay, you know what kind of game it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're making essentially a Overwatch kind of game. Well, it's a fighting game. It looks very Overwatch-ish. Then they're doing a tactical shooter. So, well, I guess if you want to do some research, we'll come back to you on this. If you want to just take a quick look on the internet, YouTube,
yeah.
I'll start with Stag on this one. So, Stag, what do you think about them foraying into different things, saying, hey, we're going to be doing fighting games, shooters now? What was your opinion when you saw that?
So they're actually doing 9 new projects.
I know it was a bunch. I just picked those.
Yeah. So out of all of them, the one that interested me the most is called Project F.
Okay.
And it's looking like it's going to be like a Diablo-esque RPG, third-person action RPG style game. I honestly, for League of Legends, I think this makes a perfect sense. They got a huge, huge esports market, and a lot of people love that shit. It only makes sense to expand. And given recent events and other companies, Blizzard, it's just an opportunity to be had to garner more of the market. And why wouldn't you invest in getting more people to come play your shit when you know, like, I mean, how much does League of Legends get? They're still getting like 8 million views and stuff, like,
Something like
and
that, I think.
players.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Why? I mean, you already have a customer base that loves what you do and one thing. Why not try and do something else and get those people to play more of your stuff and give you more money? It just makes sense to me.
Okay. No, you're right. I mean, why not? I mean, they've been leaning on League of Legends for 20 years. It seems like. So why not? You know, you got the income, you got the fan base. It just makes sense. Let's break out of this lane we're in and try our hand at some different genres. So let's go ahead and throw.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, if now I don't know the quality of the game. Now this is their first time doing these type of things. But we'll definitely see as time goes by how this works out for them. But it's nothing. I don't have any issue with it
Well,
at all. I think it's great for the company.
and it makes sense also because League of Legends ain't going to be the shit forever.
Yeah,
No
it's not.
game ever
Yeah,
stays on top
yeah,
forever. No company, no platform, none of these things are always going to be king. It's
Remember when
good.
PUBG
well,
thought it was untouchable?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's always
yeah.
good to like think what's your next move? What are you going to do next that's going to make you money because this cash cow will run out.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
I agree. I agree. It's time to diversify that portfolio, and Riot Games did exactly that. So I agree. So let's throw this over to you, Centurion. What do you think about? Did you? I don't know if you saw any of the information. If you saw any of the actual trailers, they're up on YouTube right now. You can go check them out. But what do you think about them just kind of opening up their portfolio, doing some different things, especially coming from somebody who just all they did was League of Legends. That's it. So I'm very curious to see how this goes. So what do you think?
I did do a little quick skimming today. I will be truthful. League of Legends wasn't something that kind of stood out to me.
Okay.
I my backlog is already a mile long, and then to get into another, I believe isn't League of Legends an MMO? Am I wrong on that, Stagger?
it's like a 4v4 or 5v5 competitive multiplayer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. That's, I
Yeah.
Oh,
mean, like, there's like teams of 5 that go up against each other. I mean, I watched some stuff recently, like on the Russian team that ended up like stealing, like their leader stole a bunch of money from whatever banks and stuff. But yeah, it's basically like a squad against another squad is what I've seen. There might be some campaign, but I don't know.
see that maybe that's probably why they're wanting to diversify is to reach out to gamers like me because unless my friends are playing it, when it comes to a multiplayer based game, I need to have friends that I'm never going to buy a multiplayer game to be like, I am so looking forward to soloing this game. I need to have friends that I can enjoy this game with, especially when it comes to multiplayer. Um, I did do some reading. It looks like their first person shooter is supposed to be a cartoony version of Rainbow Six Siege. If that's the case, I definitely have some friends that would definitely be into trying that out. And especially if they're doing something like Overwatch, like all this week, that's one thing I want to point out is, games like Overwatch and games like what they're doing. I love it when multiplayer games have events that kind of revolve around what's going on. Like right now, they're doing the Halloween event in Overwatch. So we've been doing that, collecting Halloween skins and just playing the Halloween
Mhm.
actual base of the
They're doing it
game.
at
And
Apex as well.
yeah, and I'd love it when games basically kind of, get festive and they start having all these events and stuff that kind of change with the times. It's not the same old thing over and over again. And if they can kind of get that formula again, that Overwatch is going on, and kind of tweak it and make it a little better, because I'm not a big fan, even though they're very unintrusive. The whole grind for anything on Overwatch, like, oh my God, I have opened so many loot boxes this week, and I have not really got anything decent.
That
Uh,
RNG cheese, that's what that is.
yeah, so, but yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to some of the stuff I saw on the website because I'm a big, huge fantasy. We all know I love RPGs. I
Yeah.
love fantasy and sci-fi. So this is right up my alley as long as they can kind of hook me in. And it looks like that's probably why they're diversifying, because League of Legends didn't hook me in, but some of this other stuff might actually, catch my attention.
Okay. No, I agree. I mean, from a practical standpoint, that makes sense. You've been doing this one game, which is world renowned. Essentially, a ton of people play it around the globe. Might as well branch out. Valve, take some goddamn notes here. Do something different. Anyway, we're not even gonna get on Valve, but anyway, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Now I don't know how much research you've done about this, Fuzz, or saw it, but I did some research. Watched a couple videos online about some of the things that they're doing. Very interesting. Very, very interesting to see a company like this do this now.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what this means. My big question is, what does this mean for console? Because League of Legends is a PC. It's a PC game. That's a
Right.
PC market PC game. Knowing that you have, that's your market. That's like 99% of their market. You opening up a shooter, card game, platformer, RTS, all these other type of things. That's you can realistically move those games to consoles and maybe see some success there. So that's kind of the big question for me. But what do you think about just Riot Games branching out and doing different things, Plus?
Oh, from a business standpoint, it totally makes sense, and it's good to see that they're looking to expand. But as far as their games coming to console, those are the genres that would be a little bit easier, especially with new hardware coming out. Even maybe League of Legends might see console
It was
appearance.
Shit.
keyboard support.
I'm looking out the window. I don't see no pigs flying. Fuzz, get out of here.
But yeah, if they're going to do like a first person, like a tactical shooter type of game, some fighting games, some card games, I could see, especially considering how Xbox is trying to be. Xbox is PC and PC is Xbox. I could see those possibly making their way over, especially now that both PlayStation and the Xbox have keyboard and mouse support. So it's good to see that there's more games out there to play. Hopefully we'll get to see them on console. Hopefully these games will, be able to catch enough of a fan base just like League of Legends did, and they'll hopefully go from there on and keep on looking at more genres to come out with games and stuff. But
Yeah.
gameplay, or at least the startup stuff that they showed, looked pretty cool. Not my cup of tea, but hey, if more games to play is still more games to play. Always fun.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's interesting too, the timing of all this. Like now, right before this new generation starts, they know what's going on. Like they don't do console stuff, but they I'm sure they look at it. I'm sure that's part of the data they collect. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if we did something that we could put on console? How would that work for us? How can
Yeah.
we transition our fan base over to consoles? How can we translate the same success League of Legends had over to consoles? So I think it's interesting. It's something that we should definitely keep an eye on for the next couple of years. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's way too early. There's no release dates for any of this, but they've definitely been hard at work because there's definitely trailers and footage and things like that. So as the time goes by, year, 2, 3 years from now, we'll definitely start to see where these games are going. So it's super interesting. So let's go ahead and keep this thing moving, man. We're already on the last topic of the show. We're probably going to take a question or two at the end of the show just because we're probably going to end up with a little extra time to do so. So this is just kind of something fun that I like to throw in. I don't like to just, always just talk about everything we cover every single week and just kind of sound like a parrot. So I always like to throw different questions in. So this last one is something that is a little bit more nostalgic. Now, we all game a lot of time. We spent a lot of our time just playing video games outside of our daily lives. And there's been some extremely memorable moments throughout the generation for me personally, as far as, being a gamer. So I wanted to kind of go around the panel, talk about, your memorable moments this generation, since it's kind of winding down. We got, about a year left, a little bit over a year left till we get some new hardware and things kick back up again. So good or bad, doesn't matter what system it's on, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like within a video game, could just be gaming related. I wanted to start with you, MJ. Anything this generation that's like your most memorable moment this generation for you?
So this generation, it would have to be, since I didn't really get into gaming as much, because I played a little bit once I was younger, but like once I started following the industry and watching all the live streams of like releases was like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I went out to LA because I won not FanFest, but I won a preview ticket, and I was already E3. So my favorite moment was probably Halo. Just being in the environment of everybody freaking out was amazing.
Okay.
And another moment that I really liked was once I streamed and everything, I made the Twitter and everything. I met like Stagger, Cyber, branched out, met a lot of people. So we started playing games together. And then once this year's E3 came, once I won a FanFest ticket, and so did my other bud. Going out and like meeting everybody, seeing like from Twitter, talking to them. I just thought those were really, really
Nice. So I mean, we've been talking about it on this panel, man. Our goal is to hopefully all get out there at some point to E3 and maybe all meet up and just have a good time. So that's definitely my goal for next year. I definitely, especially next year, being that we're getting some new consoles. This only happens every 5-6 years or so for us.
Yep.
So it's going to be very important. So it's on my list to do next year for sure. So that maybe we may get a chance to meet you and us
Yep.
all kind of come together and have fun at E3 2020. It's going to be great. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag, man. Most memorable moment for you this generation.
I mean, I don't have anything personally, but I'm going to just go ahead and hit the industry on two things. I think Minecraft and Fortnite. It absolutely blows me away
yes.
that both of those. See, I'm not a fan of either of those games. I've played Minecraft for achievement, but it's just not my thing. But the way it has taken over the world, multiple platforms, mobile, consoles, PC, it's a fucking amazing. And then you've got Fortnite, which just, I mean, the whole battle royale gaming sphere is just, to me, I don't fucking get it. I don't like it, and that's okay. I suck at it. Like, I get it. I used to play Halo 2 on the OG Xbox every fucking night from like midnight to 6 a.m. when I worked swing shift, and I was good at that shit back in the day. I'm too old now, and I don't care. I don't want to build a fucking house while I'm trying to kill people. It's part of the reason I don't play Fortnite. I mean, but it is absolutely amazing how it has just dominated, in my opinion. So it's just, I mean, not my opinion that it's dominated, but just how amazing, like how it just did it. And it's like, it's such a thing now.
Yeah. So
that's pretty memorable. And those two entirely drastically different kind of games just taking the world by storm.
Yeah. And I'd like to piggyback on that too, because I was going to say something along those lines. Those are not games anymore. Like Fortnite's not a game. Minecraft, those are like, they're part of the culture.
Yeah.
They're just part of like human culture at this point. Like Legos, like things like, they're just part of human culture. Like, it's amazing how those two games have been able to transcend, in two different completely ways.
Keep doing it.
And they keep doing it. So there's been this. So Minecraft, whatever reason, for about right after Microsoft purchased it, for about a couple years there, it wasn't really. It was. I mean, it was still doing the numbers. It's 100 million a month, guaranteed almost. It's still doing its thing. But it wasn't really talked about. You didn't see the huge streamers that were that started out playing Minecraft. They weren't streaming it. People weren't really. All of a sudden, I don't know what the fuck happened. It just boom, all of a sudden everywhere again. It's everywhere.
It went from just being a kids game to everybody playing it.
Yeah, everybody's streaming it again.
Same with Fortnite.
Same thing with Fortnite. So, fun fact: I know all of us here were hardcore gamers. We know. I remember getting the Game Informer for Fortnite was not supposed to be a battle royale game at all.
No.
It was a tower defense game. You're supposed to build a fort,
save
the save the world mode. That was the game. The extra shit was a tack on. That was just something they had on.
And that's what took off.
And that's what took off. It's crazy.
What I also think is crazy is that, like, Fortnite's so big. What just happened last week? And how many people stared at a fucking black hole on their screen?
Yep.
There were people. That was the top.
There was like over 300,000 views on that shit.
Yeah,
are you kidding me? Like at one time, like 300,000 people were just
staring
like, "This shit's on my screen right now. What's gonna happen? Oh my god, they put some numbers up. Oh my god, my world!" Like the tweets were fucking amazing all week long.
Tinfoil hats galore. Everybody's trying to break down. Oh,
what man, a PR event, dude! What I mean, that was huge.
Yeah, you're right. It just goes to show you that, like, you never know. You never know what'll take off, because once again, I mean, Minecraft came out of nowhere. Fortnite came out of nowhere. Like he said, we talked about this the topic ago. PUBG was looking like a juggernaut. Minecraft came along, was like, get the fuck out of here. Like Minecraft is it's dwarfed PUBG as far as like just notoriety and size. Like, and it just completely blew the doors off the entire genre. Like, to where Minecraft is just part of the code. You see Minecraft in commercials, movies, music. Like, I thought I heard somebody make a Minecraft reference the other day. I was listening to an album. I'm like, what the hell? Not Minecraft, but Fortnite. Like, what the fuck? Like,
they did.
Crazy. Like, they're in lyrics now. Like, people are talking about this in their songs, like music. So
pop culture.
It's just crazy. It's just part of the pop culture, which is insane. So I actually, just to take my turn here, I would agree with Fuzz that that's probably something that I did never ever see coming along. I never thought that would be I mean, first of all, battle royale in general, but then Minecraft kind of taking it to another level. I never saw that coming. Not Minecraft, but Fortnite taking it to another level. Never saw that coming. So let's go ahead and throw this to you, Centurion. Most memorable moment this generation for you, bud.
Well, I feel like I have a little bit of a biases on it because this is the generation I got into gaming hardcore, shall I say, podcasting, content creation, meeting you guys and everybody else in the community has been an absolute blast and a blessing in disguise for me. But for me, the most memorable, if we're going to talk specifically about gaming, was the reveal of the Xbox One X. Because I was there standing in line. I was ready to go and get true 4K in console gaming, and that has completely changed gaming for the long run because now everybody wants that 4K experience, and they're expanding upon it now with the future consoles trying to push that 60 frames a second.
Okay. No, I agree. I agree. That was a huge because I mean, think about it. We didn't know what Xbox was going to do with it. That was a moment. So there's two things that could have happened before the S and the X came out. There was two options. They could have folded. They could have pulled a Sega 32X situation and just said, "Fuck it, we gonna stop and figure something else out. Take a couple years off and then come back." Or they could have did what they've done. Now the odds of them turning the ship around and building on what they were able to do, I didn't see that coming at all. I mean, we talked about. I mean, the rumors came out about the X, and they were planning on making a super powerful console to get the narrative back and things like that. But I mean, did any of us actually think that they were going to be able to do it in the capacity that they were in the time frame and the capacity that they were able to pull it off in? That was a short turnaround after a bad start. So I think you're right. And then another one too, I threw in the chat was backwards compatibility. That was the one that was huge. That was a huge announcement. Well, a lot of that was Sony said that it couldn't happen. They said that there was no way that it could happen this generation. And Xbox,
That
the next E3 was like, we just did it. What are you talking about? So
that's
Hold my
also
beer.
something that changed the industry
yeah,
because now
absolutely.
now everybody has to adopt to what Microsoft is calling a legacy content state of mind. In other words, you just can't push reset on a generation anymore and say, "Hey, throw your old console in the closet. You got to get this one and buy all new games." Now they have this whole mantra of, your purchases matter and you should be able to bring them with you.
Yeah, that definitely changed the industry going forward. Because I don't know if they had have done that, have we would the industry care about old games? 360 and OG Xbox and PS3 and PS2. I don't know if that would be something that we care about as much as we do now. Because look at the poll. I mean, we just saw the recent Sony poll. 42% backwards compatibility in PS5. That's what they voted. That's what they were the most excited for. So it's
Which is
it's
nuts.
it's definitely changed people's opinions on what going forward, like bringing games with them and how important that is. So last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man, for you, what was the biggest just memorable moment essentially for you this generation?
Well, Centurion kind of touched on it, and Cyber Gunter also touched on it in chat. I want to say the Xbox One X, because for me, just mid-gen refreshes were a big thing. Like wanting better graphics out of these games or out of the consoles in general, without having to spend a boatload of money like a PC. That I definitely think is a memorable moment. Um, Another one for me, because I got two teenage boys that play video games and it's a pretty expensive thing. Game Pass.
How could I forget? Jesus Christ, Game Pass. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely save some
Another
money
industry
along
saver.
with
Yep.
what do you call it, game sharing.
Yeah.
Both consoles do it, but it definitely helps save money. uh, Game share with my kids, so they have my home console. I can just buy all the games and it's already on the console for them. So it's going to be a little bit tricky when they have their own individual console, but I'll figure that out as it comes. But Game Pass definitely is a game changer as far as if even if you're not looking at budget, just knowing if you have kids that play games and how, I won't say fickle, but how they like a game for a week and then they never touch it again. It's like that used to drive me insane. It's like you just spent 60 on this and you played it for 3 hours. Okay, so
Yeah.
was it really worth the 60, or could we have waited until the thing was in the the
Sale,
ten
like on
dollar
sale
bin over
somewhere.
at
Yeah,
GameStop or something.
yeah.
So Game Pass huge, Game Share huge, mid gen refreshes. Those are my big three as far as industry related. Personal ones, just for me, it was coming from PlayStation. Like I was a huge PS1 guy, went to PC, came back to PS3, and enjoyed my time on PS3. Even though, yeah, the graphics weren't as great on what was it, GTA 5 in comparison to 360. But when I got my PS4 and started playing Destiny, it was like I only had my work friends or my local friends that would play, and it's like outside of that, it was like trying to find a squad or a group. It just didn't seem like anybody wanted to bother. And it's like, oh, no mics, just run past these enemies and do this. And it's like, you come to Xbox, it's like, oh yeah, I'll help you do this, or yeah, hey, let's squad up and do this mission. And it's like you meet friends that way that just I don't know. I still have to this day. So it's just in general for me, the Xbox community as a whole, more welcoming, more. I mean, yeah, you have toxic people everywhere, but
Yeah, yeah.
it just seems like as a whole, they're more welcoming and more willing to, play games as opposed to just, all right, I'm gonna watch videos or I'm gonna do my own solo, single player game, and that's it. No party chat, none of that. So,
Okay.
those are the cool
Those
things that I've come across this gen.
some great damn choices, man. I completely spaced Game Pass, and once again, I agree with you all. That's definitely industry changing. Game Pass was extremely huge, extremely innovative. I mean, for parents, like you said, I mean, a lot of us that play these video games have younger kids. I mean, that was a godsend for parents. $10, whatever, however much it is, however
It's
much it
fourteen
was,
ninety nine
fourteen
for
ninety
like
nine, whatever.
Ultimate now.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's changed
Yeah,
over time, but whatever it was when it came out, I mean, it's still in every single form. It's an unrivaled value as far as what you're getting.
Eh,
One,
Can I add on to that?
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be that guy, but
you are.
like everybody criticizes Microsoft, and that's why I did think of one thing, but I didn't want to. How can I say it? Microsoft has been probably one of the most considerate companies I could think of in gaming. They want to increase the accessibility for gaming for people of all walks of life. People that can't really afford the game they want to afford gaming the way they want to, so they have options like Game Pass and obviously the Xbox One S. Now both brands obviously have the cheaper and the high end model, but Game Pass has really set some standards when it comes to accessibility because they created the competition, getting it to where their competitor dropped their price, and now people that thought gaming was a very expensive habit no longer really have that excuse, because now for $10-15 a month they can have access to a changing library of games. And to add on to that accessibility, Microsoft is still the one and only console hardware manufacturer that has a controller specific for people with disabilities.
Yeah, that's
So,
amazing too. Yeah.
and they are basically trying to increase the size of the community and create accessibility for gamers, no matter what their limitations are.
Yeah, that's amazing. That adaptive controller, it won some awards. That controller won awards. I can't. I think it was. I don't remember. It's like some science award. I can't remember exactly, but definitely some technical awards. I think like Popular Science magazine, I think voted it one as the most innovative, tech pieces of tech within the last couple of years or something like that. But it definitely won some awards. But I agree with that as well. So there's been a lot of huge memorable moments for a lot of us this generation. Now I did say we're going to take one question. I want to stick to that. So if you're watching live, you're in the chat, go ahead and throw us a question. That way we're going to go ahead and answer this bad boy and we'll wrap everything up. So just one quick question. And once again, we want to thank everybody that have come out and watched us. Some quick shout outs. Cyber, K Mega was in here. You snuck in here. He was in and out pretty quickly. My mod of the year, Shonsu, Michael Doonan Jr., Salt, everybody that was in here, man, everybody. Brap, shout out to Enrique. He was in here as well. I appreciate you guys for coming out and just watching this live. So we're gonna take one more question. First question anybody throws in the chat, we'll go ahead and ask that to the panel, and then we'll just wrap this thing up. Okay. So Shonsu said, will they manage to get the next gen Xbox smaller than the Xbox One X? That's a great question. I mean, generally, manufacturers, especially like the cell phone industry, they're able to make these chips a little smaller each time. But I don't know if that's going to be something that they look at. I don't know how small they can actually get these consoles. I guess I'll throw this to the panel. Anybody want to take a shot at that question?
I
Anybody
mean,
want to?
I'll jump in real quick,
Yeah,
and just because if you see, we've all seen the PS5.
yeah. Well,
It
the
actually looks,
dev kit, the dev kit, right?
yeah, but
Spaceship?
that thing looks bigger.
It looks big. It looks
You know, I
huge.
mean, dev kits are usually kind of a little bit of a monster, but I mean, if that's what that console ends up looking like, that's definitely not smaller than the PS4.
No,
I hope there's a bowl you can put into the little slot to
Stop
pop some
it.
popcorn.
That's where you put
Stop
your
it.
monitor. That's where you put your camera for streaming, dude. Come on.
Stop it. I no.
But
I'm not
honestly,
gonna be.
I mean, I'm looking at my X right now, and is it too big? I mean,
No, no.
do they need to go smaller? I mean, I think for me personally, I kind of like having that thing up on my shelf where I'm like, yeah, that's my console. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no.
and towers are basically for PCs. They're all kind of like that box shape. I mean, they got different variants, but they're all relatively good sized boxes.
Yeah.
Towers. So, do we need to go smaller? I mean, if you go smaller, then does it kind of look like a streaming device, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and they still got to cram a bunch of shit inside that damn thing and give it
Yeah.
space to off heat. I mean, the heat might not be as much going forward, but
Dude, no. From what I've heard from some of these guys, like that are really into the hardware side of things, those graphic processors are going to put out some heat. There's
so
a
you're
reason.
gonna need space, and you're gonna
There's
need
a reason
fans.
why that PS5 looks the way it does,
Yeah,
and that's
So-
because they need to dissipate that heat. They're, that's
chip might be bigger next gen.
I'm thinking it might be because you're gonna like in the preview for the Xbox Scarlet that they showed at E3, you actually got to see the board.
Yeah. They
You
showed
know, the board
Yeah.
is from the way it looks like that board is probably about a foot by probably 8 or 9 inches. It's a pretty decent sized board. And then on top of that, they got to get an optical drive in there or disc reader, whatever you want to call it. They got to have a fan in there,
Yep.
a Wi-Fi card, the SSD. They got to put all, and then they got
you've got to offset the heat for all of that.
yeah. So definitely, I really don't see them getting any smaller than the Xbox One X, and because of just the amount of power that is going to be put into these GPUs, I'm almost willing to bet that these consoles are going to be a little relative bigger, because we all know these console manufacturers are paranoid over a console overheating.
Oh,
The Red Ring of Death. And
man.
the funny part is everybody talks about the Red Ring of Death. PlayStation had, I believe it was a PS4 meltdown on stage in a demo, if I'm remembering my history right. When they were in the process of designing the PS4, they had a stage event where on stage it literally overheated and cooked itself to death. And so there's a reason why all these console manufacturers, really, heat is the biggest enemy of any electronic device. And the way it works with every generation is these consoles always start off huge, and by the end of the generation, they're smaller because they've been out in the wild. They know how they're functioning now and displacing the heat, and they're able to modify the console as the years go by.
Absolutely. So
I also want to throw into there real quick. Last couple gens, the systems have been big, and they've gotten smaller throughout that generation.
Yeah.
So it's like they always seem to come out with like, all right, this is the best we can do with this until we figure out a way to cool it better or take a couple things out, and then they come out with a smaller case. It just seems to be what both have done lately.
Yeah.
Right, you all remember the Xbox One VCR?
Oh yeah, we remember that. Oh yeah, the two-tone. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man. No, for sure. So I don't know, Fuzz, you want to take a shot? MJ, I don't know if you guys want to take a shot.
I figure as long as it's around about the same size as the X, that should be fine. I mean, if it's the same size as the VCR Xbox One, I'm not going to complain, especially if the brick is inside. Other than that, as long as it plays the games well and it doesn't make a lot of noise, I think those are probably the more important things. The size of it, it'd be nice if it's smaller, but as long as it doesn't sound like a jet engine or a vacuum cleaner in my cabinet, Yeah, I'm good.
I like Michael Doonan Jr.'s question. Do you think they're going to liquid cool the consoles? We all know the Xbox One X is using a vapor chamber to cool their board. So does it seem like liquid cooling is probably a viable option for these consoles?
I mean, I'm not a tech
I
guy.
have no
I
idea
mean, I have
there.
no idea there. I don't know, man. It could
No.
be. It could be. It could be. So, MJ, did you want to take a shot at that last question before we wrap things up, or?
Yeah, I think that the console's going to be bigger than the X. I don't know what Centurius was saying or whatever his name
I'm
That's right.
Centurion.
is. I think it's going to start out big, and then later into the industry, it'll get smaller and smaller.
Okay. All right. So I think we in all agreement saying that that's more than likely what's going to happen throughout the next generation when we get these new consoles. So let's go ahead and wrap things up, man. Another show in the books, man. We wanted to say thank you guys for watching. Everybody that came out, always showing up, showing out every single weekend. Before I get to the panel, just want to let you guys know, follow us here on Twitter. That's where a lot of us use that as kind of our hub for our media, for social media, for YouTube, for Twitch, Mixer, all those different things. Follow us there. Once again, thank you guys for coming out. Same time next week, same place. Follow me on Twitter specifically if you're looking for that poll of the week every single Monday. PTK Blam across the board. Find me on Xbox PTK Blam. But let's go ahead and just start with MJ, man. Once again, appreciate you being on the show, taking some time out this Saturday to hang out with us. Let everybody know where they can find you at going forward, MJ.
Thanks for having me. You can find me on Twitch at MJ as a boss. My Twitter is BeattyMJ, and then I use Snapchat a lot. So my Snapchat is Beat101.
For sure. So go follow and hit him up there. Once again, that it's called the Stream Table, right? Is the name of the actual
Yeah.
podcast that you guys do. So go follow them over there. They're part of the ILP, essentially the Iron Lords conglomerate. There, they got a lot cooking up over there. So go follow them. Great show, great panel. Go check them out as well. Once again, MJ, thank you for taking a little bit of time hanging out with us, man. Anytime the door is always open. Anytime you want to come back, man, just let me know. We'll make it happen. Appreciate you, man. So next thing, Stagger. I don't even need to talk, man. Go ahead, Stag.
Does
Say
that mean
what
I
you
don't
want.
need to talk either? Cool.
Oh no, we're not
No,
doing
I
that.
mean, so recently, I made the switch from Mixer over to Twitch. You can find me there under Staggerilla. You can find me on Twitter under Staggerilla. I'm just playing those indie games Monday through Friday, 9:15 to 11:30, and then here on Saturdays.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Centurion, let everybody know what's going on with you. I know you got a lot cooking up. You on a few different shows. I know that kind of changes depending on what you got going on for the week. So what you gonna be doing this coming week?
Well, for starters, I want to say it was good to meet MJ. I'm glad I was able to make a lasting impression where he could remember my name. No, but no, you can always find me on Xbox Live, Twitter, and YouTube at Centurion1307. I also am part of the cast of this podcast on Saturdays, TXR on Sundays, and Saltiest Gaming on Thursdays. And again, I will be on Boomstick's show on Monday, Primetime Gaming. And you can also find me on my blog at legionofgamer.com. And now I feel like I'm taking up your show.
No, you're good. You're good. You got to let everybody know, man. Otherwise, they ain't gonna be able to find you, man. So yeah, so he has hands in a lot of cookie jars. If so, YouTube, go follow him there. Especially go subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get this man 1,000 subscribers, man. Hopefully we can do that soon. I know that's the goal coming up here. But if you guys want factual information, this man puts a lot of hard work behind the scenes of his videos to get factual information out. Solid details. He's not throwing out clickbait. He doesn't do that. So go follow
Right.
him.
Actually,
on YouTube.
tomorrow morning, I'm going to be releasing a video on the leak of the PS5 price potentially.
All right. So yeah, once again, if you're interested in that information, go check him out, man. So last but not least, man, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. If he's not asleep, he's gonna say something here within the next couple minutes. But let everybody know what's going on with you, where they can find you at, Fuzz.
Hey, great show, great guests, great guys, great conversation and everything. You can find me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere or PSN fuzzy_Belvedere or Xbox Live more than likely at fuzzy space Belvedere playing Forza or Division 2. Not liking some of the update, but it's not bad. But yeah, it was a great show, guys. Just awesome time.
All right, man, and that's how we gonna end things, man. Once again, same time next week, same place. Appreciate you guys for the love and support, man. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a blessed one. Be safe out there if you're traveling. We're out of here, everybody. Take it easy. Peace out.
Have a good night.